So today's topic is AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Acquired means it is captured. It is not congenitally present. Acquired. Immune deficiency. Immune deficiency means it causes deficiency of immunity. That person's immunity cannot respond or get lower and lower. And it is syndrome because it has a set of diseases or set of symptoms. So acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So AIDS, the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, it is initially sometimes called as sling disease. It's a fatal illness caused by retrovirus known as human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, which breaks down the body's immune system, leaving the victim vulnerable to host of life-threatening opportunistic infections, neurological disorders, or unusual malignancies. AIDS is the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. It's a fatal illness caused due to retrovirus known as human immunodeficiency virus, which breaks down the body's immune system, means which lowers the body's immune system or disrupts the body immune system, by which the person is vulnerable for many opportunistic infections like tuberculosis, malaria, many types of skin infections, cancers, fungal infections. So it lowers the immunity, which causes number of infections. Among the special features of HIV infection are that once infected, it is probable that person will be infected for life because no cure is still available for AIDS. It is controlled, but it is not cured. AIDS can be called a modern pandemic, affecting both industrialized and developing countries. So what is this problem statement? So in world, it is recognized as emerging disease only in early 1980s. AIDS has rapidly established itself throughout the world and is likely to endure and persist well into 21st century also. So AIDS has evolved from a mysterious illness to global pandemic which has infected 10 millions of people in world. So WHO and UNAIDS define the different types of HIV epidemics as following. First is low level of HIV epidemic. Means although HIV may be existed for many years, it has never spread to substantial levels in any subpopulation. Low level of HIV epidemics means it is only present in high-risk groups. It is not present in subpopulation. Subpopulation means it is a part of large population. Means we can say in Maharashtra only Pune or only Mumbai, like that. It is subpopulation. So in low-level HIV epidemics, it is recorded infection is highly confined to individuals with higher risk behavior. For example, sex workers, drug injectors, men having sex with other men. So only high-risk groups is affected. It is called as low-level HIV epidemics. In that, HIV prevalence has not exceeded 5%. So, what is its prevalence? Not exceeded more than 5%. And second one is concentrated HIV epidemics. Here, HIV has spread rapidly in defined subpopulation but not in well established in the general population. Means here risk group is also affected and subpopulation is also affected, but it is not generalized, means all population is not affected. So these epidemic states suggest active networks of risk within subpopulations. Here, HIV prevalence is over 5%. In low-level HIV epidemics, there is a less than 5%. Here, more than 5% and one defined subpopulation, but below 1% in pregnant women in urban areas. In low level, there is no affection of pregnant women, only less than 5%. In concentrated HIV epidemics, its prevalence is more than 5% and also pregnant women are affected, which is below 1%. Third is generalized HIV epidemics, means here all are affected, high risk groups, subpopulation as well as general population. So in generalized epidemics, HIV is firmly established in the general population. Although subpopulation at high risk may contribute disproportionately to spread of HIV, sexual networking in general population is sufficient to sustain an epidemic independent of subpopulation at higher risk of infection. Means even if we are saying subpopulation is very small part of general population, but in subpopulation the high risk groups number is more, and it that only high risk group can form the epidemic of disease. Here, HIV prevalence is more than 5% in general population, but also over 1% in pregnant women also. So HIV incidence means it is the number of new HIV infections in population per year, means newly detected cases. HIV incidence is the key parameter that prevention efforts aim to reduce. Means for prevention, we have to reduce HIV incidence, means newly found cases. Since newly infected person contribute to number of persons living with HIV. Prevalence means already present cases and incidence means new cases. So if new cases are continuously adding to already present HIV patients, so it increases number of total persons living with HIV. They will also progress to disease and death over a time, and also has a potential source for further transmission. So main aim for prevention is to reduce HIV incidence. Since 1997, it is the year in which annual new infections peaked to 3.2 million cases globally. Means in 1997, there are 3.2 million cases are found globally. Means per year 3.2 million cases. And this number is fallen to 2.3 million in 2012 because of we are applying the preventive programs. So it is decreased from 3.2 millions to 2.3 millions. This reduction in HIV incidence reflects natural trend of epidemic as well as result of prevention programs, resulting in behavioral changes in different contexts. So most of the new infections are transmitted by heterosexually. In some countries, men who have sex with men, injecting drug users, and sex workers are at significant risk. Although HIV testing capacity has increased over a time, enabling more people to learn about their HIV status, the majority of people with HIV are still unaware about their infective status. Even we have increased technology, we have the easy aid for HIV testing, but majority of people still not get tested and they are unaware about their infective status. Also, women represents about half of the people living with HIV worldwide and more than half in sub-Saharan Africa, that is about 60%. HIV is the leading cause of death among women in reproductive age. Why? Because there is a gender inequalities, differential access to services, sexual violence increases women's vulnerability to HIV, and women, especially younger women, are biologically more susceptible to HIV. So it is the leading cause of death among women. In 2013, WHO issued revised treatment guidelines recommending earlier initiation of antiretroviral therapy, that is ART, antiretroviral therapy, at a CD4 count of approximately 500 cells per mm cube. This new criteria increased the total number of people medically eligible for therapy from 16.7 million to 25.9 million, an increase of 9.2 million in low and middle income countries. Means WHO said that even if CD4 count is approximately 500, start the antiretroviral treatment. Don't wait that it would fall more. In 2011, WHO member states adopted a new global health sector strategy on HIV/AIDS for 2011 to 2015. In 2011, WHO member states adopted new strategy. This strategy, it is a global health sector strategy on HIV/AIDS for 2011 to 2015. It outlines 4 strategies direction for next 5 years. What are strategies? To optimize HIV prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and care outcomes. Also, leverage broader health outcomes through HIV responses. To build strong and sustainable health system. And also address inequalities and advance human rights. So what are 4 strategic directions given by WHO? To optimize HIV prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and care outcome. Also, leverage broader health outcomes through HIV responses. Third one is build strong and sustainable health systems. And last one is address the inequalities and advance the human rights. Then in India, the epidemic shifts from highest risk group, that is commercial sex workers, homosexual men, drug users, to breach population. Which is the breach population? That is clients of sex workers, STD patients, migrant population, population in conflict areas, and partners of drug users. And then to general population. Means from high risk group to breach population and then to general population. There is a time lag of 2 to 3 years between the shift from one group to the next group. So how epidemic shifts? It shifts from high risk group to the breach population and then to the general population. The trends indicate that HIV infection is spreading in two ways, from urban to rural areas and from individuals practicing high risk behavior to the general population. Data from ANC clinics indicates rising HIV prevalence among women, which in turn contribute to increasing HIV infection in children. Provisional estimates for the year 2012, it shows there were 20.89 lakh people living with HIV AIDS with estimated about HIV prevalence of 0.27%. Means in 2012 there were 20.89 lakh people whole year, 20.89 lakh people living with HIV AIDS. Information from person testing positive for HIV at the integrated counseling and testing center across the country during 2011-12 shows that 88.2% of HIV infection are occurring through heterosexual route of transmission. Means when we inquire the positive patient, we came across the result that 88.2% of HIV infections are through heterosexual route of transmission. So here are the routes of transmission of HIV in India. The survey was done in 2011-2012. It shows heterosexual population, it is 88.2%. The blood and blood products causes HIV in 1% of population. The injecting drug users causes 1.7% of population. Homosexual, it is 1.5%. Parents to child, it is 5% of population. And unknown causes is 2.7%. So these are routes of transmission, that is heterosexual, blood and blood products, drug users, homosexual partners, parents to child, and unknown reasons. Patterns of HIV epidemic at national level. So at national level, the overall HIV prevalence among different population groups in 2010-11 continues to portray the concentrated epidemic with high prevalence of HIV in high risk groups. Means in 2010 and 11 the survey was done that shows that high prevalence of HIV is present in high risk groups. The primary drivers or high risk groups of HIV epidemic in India are unprotected paid sex or commercial female sex workers, unprotected sex between men, and injecting drug use. These are main three primary drivers of HIV epidemic. It is estimated that there are 8.68 lakh female workers, 3.13 lakh men who have sex with men with high risk, 70,000 transgenders, 1.77 lakh injecting drug users in India, 110 lakh breech population. Means in overall high risk groups, there count is 8.68 lakh are female sex workers. 3.13 lakh are men who have sex with men with high risk. In that, 70,000 are transgenders. 1.77 lakh are drug users. 110 lakh is breach population, in which it includes 80 lakh migrant population and 30 lakh are truckers. In adult, that is from 15 to 49 years, HIV prevalence is estimated at 0.27% for the year 2011, in which 0.32% are males and 0.22% are females. Percentage is difficult to remember. The adult HIV prevalence is estimated at 0.20% for the year 2011, in which 0.32 are males and 0.22 are females. The prevalence among young population at national level is at 0.11%. Young population means between 15 to 24 years. Its prevalence is 0.11%, and it is equal among men and women. In India, there is a stable decline in most states, but in some places there is a rising trends like Jharkhand, Odisha, Tripura and Uttarakhand. Here there is a continuous rising trends of HIV. India is estimated to have about 1.16 lakh annual new infections among adults. Means every year there are new infections. How much? 1.16 lakhs. And 14,500 children are affected per year. In year 2011, 1.48 lakh people died of AIDS-related causes. 1.48 lakh people died due to AIDS in 2011. It is estimated that the scale of for free ART, that is antiretroviral treatment, since 2004 has saved over 1.5 lakh lives in the country till 2011. As WHO stated, in 2004 started with free ART, that is antiretroviral therapy, which saved 1.5 lakh lives in the country till 2011. Means since 2004 to 2011 we saved 1.5 lakh lives with the help of ART. During 2010-11, none of the states have shown HIV prevalence of 1% or more among ANC clinic attendants. During 2010 and 11, as we already started with ART and regular checkup of HIV in pregnancy, it shows that there is a less than 1% prevalence among ANC. It is not more than 1%. Epidemiological features of AIDS. The first one is agent factor. Agent, when the virus was first identified, it was called as lymphadenopathy associated virus, that is LAV, by the French scientist. So initial name of HIV is lymphadenopathy associated virus. Some researchers in USA called it as human T-cell lymphotropic virus 3, that is HTLV3. In May 1986, the International Committee on the Taxonomy gave it a new name, that is human immunodeficiency virus, that is HIV. Still it is same, human immunodeficiency virus. So agent factor is HIV. Meaning of HIV, H means human. It can live only in human. Immunodeficiency, it damages the immune system of people it infects. And virus is for retrovirus. It contains RNA molecules. So the virus is 1 upon 10,000 of millimeter in diameter. See, it is so small. 1 upon 10,000 of millimeter. You can see the image of HIV virus. It is a protein capsule containing 2 short strands of genetic material called as RNA and enzymes. The virus replicates in actively dividing T4 lymphocytes. As it is actively dividing T4 lymphocytes, so initially it is called as lymphocyte virus. And like other retroviruses, it can remain in lymphoid cells in a latent stage that can be activated. Latent state means asymptomatic state. So it can remain for years in latent state. The virus has unique ability to destroy human T4 helper cells, which are subset of human T lymphocytes, which are our immune cells, T4 helper cells. The virus is able to spread throughout the body. It can pass through blood-brain barrier. It can then destroy some brain cells. So it can cause neurological and psychomotor abnormalities in AIDS patient, as it can pass through blood-brain barrier. HIV mutates rapidly. New strains are continually developing. There are 2 types of HIV, HIV-1 and HIV-2. The virus is easily killed by heat. It is readily inactivated by ether, acetone, ethanol, and beta-propiolactone. But it is relatively resistant to ionizing radiation and ultraviolet light. There are 2 types of HIV, HIV-1 and HIV-2. The virus is easily killed by heat and inactivated by ether, acetone, ethanol, beta-propiolactone. But it is resistant for ionizing radiation and ultraviolet light. Then reservoir of infection. Reservoir are cases and carriers. Means the person who has diagnosed as a HIV and carriers who themselves don't know they having HIV, which are asymptomatic phases. Once a person is infected, the virus remains in the body lifelong. The risk of developing AIDS increases with time. Since HIV infection can take years to manifest itself, the symptomless carrier can infect other people for years. Source of infection. The virus has been found in greatest concentration in blood, semen and CSF. Where it is found greatest concentration, it is in blood, semen and CSF. It is found in lower concentration in tears, saliva, breast milk, urine, cervical and vaginal secretions. It has also been isolated in brain tissue, lymph nodes, bone marrow cells and skin. So the virus has been found in greatest concentration in blood, semen CSF. Lower concentration in tears, saliva, breast milk, urine, cervical and vaginal secretions. Host factor, most age, most cases have occurred among sexually active person aged 20 to 49 years. Sex, in North America, Europe and Australia, about 51% of cases are homosexual or bisexual men. In Africa, the picture is different. The sex ratio is equal. Certain sexual practices increases the risk of infection more than other. For example, multiple sexual partners, anal intercourse, and male homosexuality. Higher rate of HIV infection is found in prostitutes. Then high risk groups, male homosexuals and bisexual, heterosexual partners including prostitutes, intravenous drug abusers, transfusion recipient of blood and blood products, hemophilic patients, and clients of STD. So, in epidemiological features, we have seen agent. Agent is HIV, that is human immunodeficiency virus. Reservoir of infection, these are cases and carriers. Once infected, the virus remains in the body lifelong. Source of infection, the virus is found greatest concentration in blood, semen and CSF. In lower concentration in tears, saliva, breast milk, urine, cervical and vaginal secretions. Host factor includes age, that is 20 to 49 years. Sex incidence, in some countries it is higher among men, in some countries it is equal. High risk groups are male homosexuals and bisexuals, heterosexual partners including prostitutes, intravenous drug abusers, transfusion recipient of blood and blood products, and hemophiliac patients and clients of STD. It's the immune system disorder associated with HIV infection or AIDS are considered to occur primarily from gradual depletion in specialized group of WBC, that is white blood cells known as lymphocytes. They are called as T helper or T4 cells. Means the main cells which are affected by HIV are T4 cells, T helper cells, which are helpful in cellular immunity, that is antibody formations. So it mainly attacks on T helper cells. The full name of T helper cells is CD4 plus T lymphocytes. So it is also known as CD4 plus cells. These cells play a key role in regulating the immune response. So main immunity gets affected by decrease in number of T cells. HIV selectively infects T helper cells apart from several other cells in the immune system such as B cells, macrophage and nerve cells. So T helper cells का affect होतातच, पण त्याच्यासोबतच B cells, macrophages and nerve cells are also get affected. When the virus reproduces, the already infected T cells are destroyed. म्हणजे पहिल्यांदा व्हायरस एंट्री करतो, टी हेल्पर सेल्स त्याच्या अगेन्स्ट वर्क करतात, but they are not capable of destroying that virus. But when virus get reproduced, that T cells also get destroyed and other new T cells also starts fighting and they are also get destroyed. Consequently, people with AIDS tends to have low overall white blood cell count. So WBC count is very low in HIV. Whereas healthy individuals have twice as many as helper cells as the suppressor cells. In the AIDS patient, the ratio is reversed. Means हेल्दी इंडिव्हिज्युअल्स मध्ये सप्रेसर सेल्स आणि हेल्पर सेल्स अशा दोन प्रकारच्या टी सेल्स असतात. तर त्याच्यातल्या टी हेल्पर सेल्स या डबल अमाऊंट मध्ये असतात आणि हे रिव्हर्स होतं एड्स पेशंट मध्ये याचा रेशिओ रिव्हर्स होतो. म्हणजे हेल्पर सेल्स या कमी असतात कारण त्या डिस्ट्रॉय होतात. A decreased ratio of T helper cells to T suppressor cells. It is the indirect indicator of reduced cellular immunity. Cellular immunity is responsible for antibody formation. One of the most striking feature of immune system of patient with AIDS is profound lymphopenia, means decreased WBC count. Lymphopenia with a total lymphocyte count often below 500 cubic mm. Normal count WBC it is 4,000 to 11,000, but in HIV patient it decreases to below 500 cubic mm. The condition is known as lymphopenia. It is the alteration in T cell function that is responsible for development of neoplasm, development of opportunistic infections, and the inability to mount delayed type of hypersensitivity response. As T cells function is hampered or T cells number is also decreased. So it is responsible for development of new neoplasm, that is cancer cells, development of opportunistic infections like tuberculosis, Kaposi sarcoma, oral thrush, or it is responsible for delayed type of hypersensitivity response is also hampered. The lack of an obvious immunological response by the host of the virus is one of the problems confronting scientists. That is, those with antibodies to HIV usually will have too few of HIV antibodies, and these antibodies are also ineffective against the virus. Means it is very difficult for scientists to make a vaccine for HIV because we cannot get the HIV antibodies from the patient. Even if they have HIV antibodies that are very ineffective against that virus. Then mode of transmission. How HIV is transmitted. The causative virus, that is HIV, is transmitted from person to person, most frequently through sexual activity. The basic modes of transmission are: first is sexual transmission. In that, AIDS is the first and foremost sexually transmitted disease. Any type of sex, that is vaginal, anal or oral sex, can spread AIDS. Every single act of unprotected intercourse with an HIV infected person exposes the uninfected partner to the risk of infection. The size of the risk is affected by number of factors, including the presence of STD, that is, the person is already having any other STDs, that is syphilis or any other disease. The sex and age of uninfected partner, the type of sexual act, the stage of illness of the infected partner, and the virulence of HIV strain involved. These are some factors which are responsible for risk. A European study of heterosexual couples in which only one partner was infected at the start suggests that chances of transmission of HIV infection from male to female is twice as likely as from female to male. Means infection chances are more from male to female. It is twice. Why? Because women are more vulnerable, that is more sensitive for HIV infection because of larger surfaces exposed, and semen contains higher concentration of HIV than vaginal or cervical fluids. That's why male to female transmission is more. For all forms of sex, the risk of transmission is greater where there are abrasions of the skin or mucous membrane. For vaginal sex, the risk is greater when woman is menstruating. Exposed adolescent girls and women above 45 years of age are more prone to get HIV infections. 45 years का कारण there is a thinning of mucus at menopause, which is believed to lessen the protective effect. So it's common in adolescent girls and women above 45 years. The risk of transmission is 8 to 10 times higher if the patient is already having STD, such as syphilis, chancroid, or herpes, which causes ulceration in the genital or perineal region of uninfected partner. It becomes easier for HIV to pass into his or her tissue. So if there is a STD, person is having STD, the risk is increases by 8 to 10 times than normal individual. As for HIV infected people, they are more infectious to others in very early stages before antibody production, that is during the window period. The period which is there before antibody production, it is called as window period. At that time, the level of virus in the blood is very higher than other times. So in window period, the patient is highly infectious. Since the likelihood of HIV transmission through blood depends on one sec. So second mode of transmission is blood contact. So AIDS is also transmitted by contaminated blood transfusion of WBCs, platelets, factor 8 and factor 9, which are derived from human plasma. In which disease factor 8 and 9 is transfused? It is in hemophilia. So hemophilia, or in any condition when there is a need of transfusion, if it is contaminated, it can transmit the HIV. So contaminated blood is highly infective when introduced in large quantities directly into the bloodstream. The risk of contracting HIV infection from transfusion of a unit of infected blood is estimated to be over 95%. Means only single unit of blood can increase the risk about 95% for infection. Since the likelihood of HIV transmission through blood depends on the dose of virus injected in the body. Also, the risk of getting infected through contaminated needles, syringe, or any other skin piercing instrument is very much lower than with transfusion. Means mainly blood transfusion is the major mode of transmission than other factors like by syringe, needles, or any skin piercing instrument. Nevertheless, among drug users who inject heroin, cocaine, or other drugs. This route of transmission is significant because exposure is repeated so often, in some cases several times a day. As a result, needle sharing by drug users is a major cause of AIDS in many countries, both developed and developing countries. And in some countries, it is the predominant cause than blood transfusion. Any skin piercing, in, including injections, ear piercing, tattooing, acupuncture, or scarification, can transmit the virus if the instrument used have not been sterilized or have previously been used on infected person. Then third mode of transmission, it is maternal to fetal transmission. HIV may pass from an infected mother to her fetus through the placenta or to the infant during delivery or by breastfeeding. So three ways in maternal to fetal transmission, that is through placenta, through while during delivery or by breastfeeding. In the absence of any intervention, the rate of this form of transmission can vary from 70 to 25%. Transmission of HIV from mother to child can be prevented almost entirely by antiretroviral drug prophylaxis, that is ART treatment, or elective cesarean section before the onset of labor and rupture of membrane, and third, by refraining from breastfeeding. So, mother to child is child transmission can be prevented if you given ART prophylaxis or elective, that is planned cesarean section before the onset of labor and rupture of membrane, or by refraining or stopping from breastfeeding. There is no evidence that HIV transmitted through mosquitoes or any other insects, or from casual social contact with infected person, including within households, or by food or water. So, mode of transmission is by three ways: sexual contact, blood transfusion or blood product transfusion. Third one is maternal to child transmission. There is no evidence that HIV is transmitted through mosquitoes or any other insects, or by casual social contacts, or by food or water. Then incubation period. While the natural history of HIV infection is not yet fully known, current data suggest that the incubation period is uncertain, from few months to 10 years, or even more than that of from HIV infection to the development of AIDS. As we don't know the how HIV is growing, that is, we don't know natural history of HIV infection, we don't know its incubation period. It may be from few months to 10 years, or even more than that of more than 10 years. The virus can be silent in the body for many years. However, it is estimated that 75% of those infected with HIV will develop AIDS by the end of 10 years. Then clinical manifestations. The clinical feature of HIV infection have been classified into four broad categories. That is, first one is initial infection with virus and development of antibodies. Second is asymptomatic carrier state. Third is AIDS related complex, that's ARC. Fourth is AIDS. So clinical features are divided into four broad categories, stage-wise. First is initial infection and development of antibodies. Second one is asymptomatic carrier state. Third is AIDS-related complex. And fourth one is AIDS. So first is initial infection. Except for generally mild illness, that is fever, sore throat and rash, which about 70% of people experience a few weeks after initial infection with virus, or most of the HIV infected people have no symptoms for the first 5 years. That is, when patient is initially infected, he may develop mild illness like fever, sore throat, rash, or he may not have any symptom for first 5 years. That is, patient is not knowing that he is infected with HIV for at least 5 years. And this is the window period in which patient is highly infective and can transmit the disease to many peoples. They look healthy and feel well, although right from the start they can start transmit the virus to others. Scientists have not found as yet a way of curing them or making them uninfectious to others. HIV antibodies usually take between 2 to 12 weeks to appear in bloodstream, though they have been known to take longer. Usually it takes 2 to 12 weeks to form HIV antibodies. And this period, that is the period before antibodies are produced, it is called as window period, during which although the person is particularly infectious because of high concentration of virus in the blood, he will test negative on the standards of antibody blood test. In the window period, patient is negative for standard antibody blood test because it is the period before antibody formation. Though the body's immune system reacts to invasion of HIV by producing antibodies, these do not inactivate the virus in unusual way. HIV antibodies takes 2 to 12 weeks to appear in the bloodstream. And this period, that is before antibody production, it is called as window period. And in that period, patient is negative for HIV, that is standard antibody blood test. And as he is negative, he don't know that is he is infected. So he is highly infectious for other people. Even if the patient is having antibodies, that antibodies cannot inactivate virus because they are weak than HIV virus. Then second stage is asymptomatic carrier state. Infected people have antibodies, but no overt signs of disease are present, except there may be persistent generalized lymphadenopathy. Means all lymph nodes get swelled. There may be a persistent generalized lymphadenopathy. It is not clear how long the asymptomatic carrier state lasts. That is, it may be from few months to 10 years or more than 10 years. Then third stage is AIDS related complex. That is ARC. A person with ARC has illness caused by damage to immune system, but without opportunistic infection and cancers associated with AIDS. Means it is the illness which is caused due to damage to immune system. It is not because of opportunistic infections or due to any cancer. They exhibit one or more following signs like unexplained diarrhea lasting longer than month, fatigue, malaise, loss of more than 10% body weight, fever, night sweat, or other milder opportunistic infections such as oral thrush, generalized lymphadenopathy, or enlarged spleen. So these are very vague symptoms. That is unexplained diarrhea lasting longer than month, fatigue, malaise, loss of more than 10% body weight, fever, night sweats, or other symptoms may present like oral thrush, generalized lymphadenopathy, or enlarged spleen. Patients from high risk groups who have two or more of these manifestations, typically including generalized lymphadenopathy, and who have decreased number of T helper lymphocytes, are considered to have AIDS related complex. So how it is diagnosed? If patient is having generalized lymphadenopathy, which is seen in initial stage, that is first stage initial infection, or they may present two or more of the above signs, that is fever, malaise, fatigue, any of that, or they having decreased number of T helper lymphocytes, then only they are considered as AIDS related complex. That is, they should fulfill three conditions: generalized lymphadenopathy, a group of symptoms, and decreased T helper lymphocytes. Then last stage is AIDS. So AIDS is the end stage of HIV infection. Number of opportunistic infection commonly occur at this stage, and or cancers that occur in people with otherwise unexplained defects in immunity. Means in this stage there are number of opportunistic infections and cancers which patient can have. Death is due to uncontrolled or untreatable infection. Mainly tuberculosis and Kaposi sarcoma are seen early, early in this stage. Serious fungal infections such as Candida esophagitis, Cryptococcus meningitis, and penicillosis, parasitic infections such as Pneumocystis carini, pneumonia, or Toxoplasma gondii encephalitis tend to occur when the T helper cell count is dropped to around 100. People whose count are below 50 have the late opportunistic infections such as cytomegaloviral retinitis. Many people with AIDS are affected by wasting syndrome. At the start, I have already told AIDS is also called as slim disease. So why it is called as slim disease? Because it can cause severe weight loss. So it may be affected by wasting syndrome, mainly seen in Africa. It involves chronic diarrhea and severe weight loss, so that it is called as slim disease. Another condition seen worldwide is a AIDS encephalopathy or AIDS dementia, which is caused by HIV crossing blood-brain barrier. In its late stage, AIDS encephalopathy resembles senile dementia or Alzheimer's disease. Tuberculosis, it is an alarming factor in the AIDS epidemic, is the increasing link between HIV infection and tuberculosis. When the immune system breaks down, as in HIV infection, tuberculosis becomes active and the person becomes contagious to others. Studies in Rwanda, USA, Zaire, and Zambia found that HIV positive individuals were 30 to 50 times more likely to develop active tuberculosis than HIV negative people. That is, if patient is having HIV, their risk for tuberculosis is increased by 30 to 50 times than normal individual. Persistent generalized lymphadenopathy. Lymph nodes are larger than 1 centimeter in diameter in 2 or more sites other than groin area for a period of at least 3 months. Then we can have doubt that patient can have HIV, or we can suspect the patient may be infected from HIV. That is, lymph nodes are larger than 1 centimeter diameter, or it may be present on 2 or more sites other than groin region, and it lasts for 3 months. Next is Kaposi sarcoma. It is a tumor featuring reddish brown or purplish plaque or nodules on the skin and mucous membrane. It is endemic in Africa prior to HIV. It is used to affect mainly older peoples. With the HIV infection, it affects wider age range and both sexes, and it is characterized by lesions in the mouth or gut, or lesions are generalized in 2 or more places, and it is rapidly progressive and invasive. It is a Kaposi sarcoma. It's a cancerous tumor. It shows as a reddish brown or purplish plaque or nodules on the skin and mucous membranes. The lesions may be in the mouth or gut, or it may be generalized, and it is rapidly progressive and invasive. Next is oropharyngeal candidiasis. It is caused by common yeast fungus. Oral thrush presents with soreness and redness with white plaques on the tongue and in the mouth and throat. Sometimes a white fibrous layer covering the tonsils and back of mouth. You can see in the image the white plaques on the tongue, mouth and throat. It is called as oropharyngeal candidiasis. Infection of esophagus presents with pain behind the breastbone. Next is cytomegalovirus retinitis. Inflammation of the eye retina which may lead to blindness. It happens when the T cell count is lower than 50. Next is pneumocystis carinii pneumonia. Its symptoms include dry, non-productive cough, inability to take full breath, occasional pain on breathing, and weight loss and fever. Next one is toxoplasma encephalitis. It is a protozoal infection in the central nervous system presenting with focal neurological signs such as mild hemiplegia or stroke resulting from damage to part of the brain causing seizures or altered mental status. Toxoplasma encephalitis. It is a protozoal infection of CNS. It presents with signs as mild hemiplegia, stroke, and also seizures and altered mental status. Next is hairy leukoplakia. It is white patches on the sides of the tongue. In vertical folds, it resembles corrugations. You can see in image white patches on the sides of the tongue. It looks like hairs. It is called as hairy leukoplegia. Next is cryptococcal meningitis. It is a fungal infection in the central nervous system, which usually presents with fever, headache, vomiting, and neck stiffness. Next is herpes zoster or shingles, viral inflammation of CNS, presenting with localized pain and burning sensation, followed by vesicle eruptions and ulceration. You can see in image herpes zoster. There is presence of vesicular eruptions and it presents with localized pain and burning sensation. Also, there may be severe prurigo or pruritic dermatitis, chronic skin inflammation in the form of very itchy rash of small flat spots developing into blisters, severe or recurrent skin infections like warts, dermatophytosis, ringworm, and folliculitis may be present. So, today we have seen first is immunology. In immunology, we have seen the main HIV virus mainly attacks on T helper cells, which are responsible for cellular immunity. And here also WBC count is very low. It causes lymphopenia, that is WBC count less than 500 cubic mm. It causes alteration in T cell function, which leads to development of neoplasm, development of opportunistic infections, and inability to mount delayed type hypersensitivity response. Mode of transmission, it is mainly transmitted by sexually, but other modes are also present like blood transfusion or blood product transfusion and maternal to child transmission. In sexual transmission, the size of risk is affected by presence of STD, sex and age of uninfected partner, type of sexual act, stage of illness of infected partner, and virulence of HIV strain involved. The research study shows that male to female transmission is twice than female to male transmission. The women are more vulnerable because infection, the larger surface is exposed, and also semen contains higher concentration of HIV. The risk is increased if person is having abrasion on skin and mucous membranes. Also, risk is more when females are menstruating. Exposed adolescent girls and above 45 years of age are more prone for HIV infection because of thinning of mucosa at menopause. It shows protective effect is less during menopause. If patient is already having STD, the risk of transmission is higher 8 to 10 times. Then HIV is more infected, patients are more infectious in early stages. That is before antibody production. It is called as window period. Then it can transmitted through blood contact. Direct blood transfusion or by using infected needles, syringes, or any skin piercing instrument. Then maternal to fetal transmission, it may be through placenta during delivery or by breastfeeding. Transmission can be prevented by using antiretroviral drug prophylaxis, elective cesarean section, and by refraining from breastfeeding. There is no evidence that HIV transmitted through mosquitoes, any other insect, casual social contact, or by food or water. Incubation period, it is uncertain It may be from few months to 10 years or even more than that. Clinical manifestations are given in 4 stages. First is initial infection, asymptomatic carrier state, AIDS related complex, and last one is AIDS. Initial infection, the patient may show mild illness or no symptoms for 10 years. Sorry, for first 5 years. But they are more infective in this period. Window period, that is period before antibodies production, that is 2 to 12 weeks. Patients are negative for standard antibody blood test. Next stage is asymptomatic carrier stage. It is, we don't know, it may be from few months to 10 years. There may be presence of persistent generalized lymphadenopathy. Then AIDS related complex. AIDS related complex, that is three main manifestations should be present. That is this group of symptoms, 2 or 3 symptoms, generalized lymphadenopathy and decreased number of T cells. In last stage is AIDS. Here number of opportunistic infections are present, the number of type of cancers are present, mainly tuberculosis and Kaposi sarcoma. It is also called as slim disease because of chronic diarrhea and severe weight loss. The number of diseases like tuberculosis, persistent generalized lymphadenopathy, Kaposi sarcoma, oropharyngeal candidiasis, cytomegalovirus retinitis, pneumocystis, carinii pneumonia, toxoplasma encephalitis, hairy leukoplegia, cryptococcal meningitis, herpes zoster or shingles, severe prurigo or pruritic dermatitis, severe or recurrent skin infection. So here we completed clinical manifestations of AIDS. आतापर्यंत काही डाऊट आहे?